Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn webinar series. I'm Sylvia Taylor, Chief Marketing Officer here at Prolist, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today for our session on digital printing. It's going to be an informative and idea-packed presentation, and hopefully one that will spark some new and creative ideas for print products as well. We have Bret Riecke with Konica Minolta's Industrial Print Division here with us today as our presenter. I have just a few quick housekeeping items before we get started. If you have questions during the presentation, please do go ahead and submit them. We will be doing a short Q&A at the end of the session with whatever time we have left. And also, as an attendee, you will receive a copy of this presentation as well as a link to the audio recording. So no need to worry about taking copious notes or missing anything that Bret says. Without any further delay, I'd like to introduce Bret. Bret is a Senior Director of Business Development with Konica Minolta and a technical sales expert on Konica's platform of digital print products and equipment, including high-speed digital presses such as the KM1, which we have several of here at Prolist. Bret has been on both the production and the sales side of digital printing and has recently developed tools to help customers demystify the ROI and costs associated with digital inkjet production. So Bret, the floor is all yours and you can take it away.
Well, fantastic. Thanks a lot, Sylvia. And hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at. Thanks a lot for having me on today. I really am passionate about talking to everybody about what's really going on with this inkjet transformation and what does it really mean for you as a customer that may be buying print or looking at the future of ways to enhance my print production and enhance my value to my customers. And so I want to kind of take you through maybe a little bit different way of thinking about inkjet technology. I'll spend a little bit of time. This isn't a technology presentation. This is really a value presentation about, what you can do with the KM1 and what Prolist has been really successful at over the last few years with this platform. Hopefully it sparks some ideas and some questions along the way for you. But we're going to really talk about a few different things when we talk about the KM1. We really this machine has been dubbed the Swiss Army knife of printing, and I'll talk a little bit about why that is, why UV inkjet is so different than other maybe types of inkjet out there, and what that really means to you from an application perspective. We're going to talk about, offset used to be the standard, right? Everybody wanted to have offset quality. Well, now I would say that we're better than offset quality, and our customers say that on a regular basis. And so why are we a little bit better? Why are we more consistent? Why can you expect great results all the time from it? It's a lot about applications. And so if you, whether you're doing direct mail and trying to make your piece stand out from every other piece of direct mail that's out there, or you're trying to get into new markets or new applications, that we'll talk a little bit about those as well. I always talk about printers and people that buy print or people in marketing are really brand ambassadors at the end of the day, right? So we want to make sure that you are have a consistent brand that you can deliver to your customer, whether that be electronic, whether that be paper, whatever format that you produce, you want to have consistent brand results in a marketing message. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well too. And then we'll really talk a little on marketing for one, a few, or many. A lot of people think about in marketing as it's either I am focused on a direct mail piece that is, is very generic and goes out to everybody. Or I focus on a marketing piece that is so hyper focused on just a one-to-one marketing side of things, right? It's an audience of one, that marketing piece. But there's really a middle ground of versioning marketing pieces. And we'll talk a little bit about what I mean on that as well too. So the Swiss Army knife. So the KM1 that Prolist has a couple of, that it is a UV digital inkjet press. Because it is a UV ink, we are able to do some things that what you may be used to in toner or offset or even an aqueous inkjet system, you can't necessarily do. And it really all revolves around media versatility, substrates, the different types of substrates that we can print on. So we're really good. We can print on standard grade offset stocks. We don't need any sort of special treatment or a digital stock or anything like that. But so it's really good that we can print on standard grade offset litho stocks. But we can also print on other types of medias, things like different types of plastics, whether that be Tyvek or a Teslin or a PVC or a styrene. We can print on all different types of plastics with this press without changing anything about the press. I can print a paper and I can load plastic in right after that and print the next job on plastic. It's just that easy. And so, but I can also print on like things like highly textured stocks, groove stocks, linen stocks, stocks that look like a leather. If you go to Prolist, ever get the chance to stop at Prolist, one of the things that they've done is they actually printed a bunch of pictures of their production floor and people there on canvas, and I have those hanging in their offices, in their front offices. And that canvas was all printed on the KM1. So we can even print on canvas, which is pretty unique in the industry. It's because of this UV ink technology that we're using that gives us this media versatility. Well, hey, what does that really mean for you today? And if especially, let's say you're a direct mail person, why would you care about media versatility? Well, I talk about that because it is really that next element of differentiating your piece from somebody else. So imagine you putting a mirror board stock. You create a piece on a mirror board stock for a certain set of customers that you really want to attract. You've identified them in your databases. They're the top ones that I really want to grab some mind share from. And so I print two pieces. One is on regular white paper of some sort, and one is on a mirror board stock, for example, or a highly textured stock, or even a plastic for that matter. So there's certain things like that we can certainly make your mail piece stand out one from another. I would challenge you as you go through mail pieces today to look at the different ways people are trying to differentiate themselves. I think Discover Card was one of the unique ones over the last couple of years. If you ever got any Discover Card offers, they put all their envelopes were a metallic envelope, and it was different colors depending on which offer you were getting. But it really stood apart from all the other white envelopes that were there. They didn't change anything else about that marketing piece except that envelope. And so there's things like that you can do in direct mail that really make a difference. And so that's what media versatility is all about. Now, one other example is in ID cards or an offer card. You could have offer cards printed on a PVC or a styrene plastic that make it look and feel like a credit card, or make it look and feel, you know, like something a little more substantial. But then you can do that variable. And so that's also a unique way to use different substrates that this press can offer for you. So we've also, on this press, we can print all the way from a 50-pound offset with this press, all the way up to 24-point board for packaging applications. And we can automatically duplex or perfect or print on two sides in that press up to 18-point. So being able to offer different weights or different thicknesses of stock is also really important, whether you're doing a packaging application, a direct mail application, or you just want your piece to stand out once again from other pieces. Now you have that ability to have a wide range of stocks that are available because of this UV inkjet technology, and because we built this on an offset press transport system, we're able to move wide varieties of sheets through the press. So I'm not going to talk about the sheet size, you know, how many up we can get on a sheet, how many, you know, mail pieces we could get, or postcards or whatever on a sheet. But what's really important for you is to know that now you also have some flexibility, because the size of the sheet that we can print on is 23 by 29. Now I can create mail pieces that may be a little bit unique, fold over pieces, 6-panel brochures, or other mail pieces that maybe I couldn't fit on a traditional toner device, you know, that only prints 13 by 19 or something like that. Now I can expand my applications. I can expand the things that I want to print on. You know, one of the areas that you could certainly do is if you're doing any sort of packaging, you can customize some packaging or version some packaging. We have a lot of customers doing pocket folders and other things like that now they're running short run pocket folders, right? Or doing, you know, instead of doing 5,000, they're doing 50 of 10 different types of pocket folders, running 500 out, right, at a time. So that's what digital really gives you, is it gives you over offset. It gives you the ability to run shorter run quantities of things, or to version those quantities to make them more customized and personalized to other people. So really, offset isn't the standard anymore. Because of this new LED UV ink, specifically designed for the KM1, we specifically designed this ink to give us a much wider gamut than what an offset press can actually produce. And that's really important. So if you're trying to hit your brand colors, it's really important that you have a wider gamut of colors to choose from in order to be able to hit that color. And so this wide gamut is really important. And I'll explain a little bit more about brand consistency here in a second. Well, we're not new to inkjet, just so you know. We've been doing inkjet for over 25 years. We actually have the world's largest market share of inkjet heads out there, of the piezo inkjet head type. So we have rich decades of technology and expertise for our inkjet heads and our inks. So we're certainly not new to this, is what I'm trying to say there. You know, that wider color gamut also gives us the ability to hit spot colors and to be consistent because of the wider gamut for most colors that you're printing today. So our press can be G7 compliant. I think more importantly, though, it's the consistency that we get out of the press. And when I show you a picture of the press, you'll understand why we're so consistent in our print quality from day to day, from run to run. So there's another piece that is really, really important for you, is that the piece is our ink is formulated to be very, very durable in the mail system. And so Prolist and other customers have tested us out on this on this theory about not having to coat our ink that comes off of our press with a UV coating or an aqueous coating. And so Prolist has sent millions of mail pieces through the mail system using our KM1 UV inks, and they are coating most of that work. And the reason they don't have to is because there's when it goes through the mail system, they're getting no scuffing, no rubbing off of the ink. It's very, very durable. So from whether you're doing a mail piece, a postcard, and want to get it into the mail system, or you're doing a packaging application or something like that, or a pocket folder, you don't have to coat the work that comes off of the KM1 because of that UV ink formulation. If you think about UV coating laid down to protect it, our ink is built out of that same type of UV coating. We just have pigment in our inks instead of it being clear. And so the durability that you were putting down for that UV coating is already built into the properties of our ink. And so that's really exciting for our customers. Now you can coat for an effect, but you don't need to for protection anymore with our inks. So brand reproduction, being consistent with your colors is so important, right? Being able to print a job today and being able to print that job tomorrow and a month from now and have the color look the same is what it's really all about. But it's not only printing throughout from month to month, it's also throughout that print run, having that color consistent throughout that print run. So we do this because we jet ink directly onto the substrate. There isn't anything else that goes on in the process. And when I show you the machine, you'll kind of, the light bulb will go off, right? And so if you think about other processes, there, even an offset, you know, you have blankets and cylinders and you know, the fountain solution and all these things that make up a print. With us, we jet ink directly onto the substrate. So that's how we can make it very consistent. But remember, because of that wide color gamut, we're able to also be very consistent and hit 85% of that Pantone Plus library within a 3 delta E. So basically, most colors, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between what's printed spot color, you know, with a true Pantone spot color on an offset press versus what's being printed in a CMYK process like what we do. That's really important because now you don't have the extra expense of having to, you know, produce an actual spot color. You can print it CMYK, but it's also faster. It's also we're able to do this more consistent as well. And so now the great thing in the press is you know, if you go, well, you know, my normal Pantone color is Pantone 185, but I like to make it just a little bit different, right? I like to, my Pantone 185's got a little more yellow in it. Well, we can actually, because we have the Pantone library built right into the press, the operator can go in and make a slight adjustment to the yellow, for example, on that color and print out a proof and let you look at it and say, yep, that's exactly what I want. And then they can lock in that flavor of that Pantone color for you. Now, what that means is then the next month when that job is reprinted, you don't have to go back to press check again and say, remember I wanted a little more yellow? We already have those values locked in and we just have to reprint the job for you. So it makes things a lot easier as you're trying to make sure you have that consistent brand message. Now, the ink really takes on the properties of the media as well, too. So what I mean there is as you print on an uncoated stock, our inks, because of the UV formulation, look very matte in their appearance. They look like an offset printed piece. As you raise the gloss level of the sheet, so if I go to a silk sheet or a glossy sheet, the ink takes on the properties of that media. So the ink gloss level will go up as the gloss level in the actual paper goes up. Well, that's really important because that's what you want, right? You want the glossiness that you're paying for in that sheet to come through. And our inks are specially formulated to be able to do that for you. And so, so being able to do that, whether it be an uncoated sheet or a coated sheet, we're able to match those brand colors. We're able to match that gloss level and give you the results that you want day in and day out. So what kinds of applications are we seeing on this press, and what kinds of applications is Prolist really doing? You know, they focus a lot on the postcard and direct mail pieces for customers. They are experts at it. One of the best I've seen in the nation, and I travel all over North America looking at print shops and direct mail houses, and they are just fantastic at what they do. They understand variable data printing. They understand how to create and give you suggestions on how to design a project that is going to give you the maximum bang for your buck. Whether that be, hey, maybe we change out the stock a little bit, or maybe we add this as a variable instead of something else as a variable. They can really, because they're experts in variable data and tracking variable data, they understand what works and what doesn't work. You know, one of the things that you can certainly do with variable data in this whole versioning idea is you can start to create A/B versioning. So I send out, you know, a sample set to customer A and a sample set to customer B's and see where I get the most marketing return for those sample sets, and then make judgment calls based on that. And so that's really important for you as you spend your marketing dollars to make sure that you're spending them in the right ways. And Prolist is great about doing that. And our press has really helped them in that, being able to be flexible enough to have different designs and have different substrates that are available to them, whether that be postcards, direct mail pieces, whatever the case may be. You know, right on the heels of direct mail is really transactional and trans-promo statements. So the statements aren't dead. There's some actually some good news about people having not being able to charge you to print statements. I don't know if you saw that recently. A federal judge came down with some rulings on that, which is interesting, right? As people are moving more electronic, the statement is still very, very important. And so, but being able to put marketing messages on transactional statements is really where the technology is going. So instead of having, you know, the traditional buck slip or something like that for a marketing message, you're putting it right onto the document itself. And it's easy as doing variable data for postcards or direct mail. It translates into the transactional, trans-promo type statements as well too. And then really in the brochures, magazines, catalogs, those things are also becoming versioned. And so customers are sending out direct mail pieces that may have looked like a brochure in the past, right? But they're really direct mail pieces targeted at that customer or that end user, and varied in versioning from, you know, one-to-one marketing all the way through to, you know, one-to-many type of marketing type applications. So those are some of the traditional things that certainly you can do. But there's also other applications with this. Folding cartons is one of the big areas where we're starting to see a lot of versioning and a lot of different applications. And I know that Prolist has actually done some folding carton work in the past. And they've been able to do it on the KM1 because of, you know, they can run that thicker substrate. And the sheet size allows you to do a lot of different types of applications with folding cartons. So as you think about it, you know, an offset printer to print 500 folding cartons is very cost prohibitive. But for us, for the KM1 and Prolist, it's not cost prohibitive because of the digital nature of the technology. Being able to produce 1 or 500 or 5,000 folding cartons is easy on the KM1 to do. And so that gives you the ability then to, once again, version those folding cartons. We see this a lot actually in lots of different areas, believe it or not. I'll just give one example, may not be for your example, but if you go to higher end cosmetics stores, cosmetics have very elaborate cartons that they're trying to sell the cosmetics in, but those cosmetics are in different, those boxes are different between regions. So if you go to a store in New York, the folding carton may look different than the store in Kansas City, for example. Same product in the inside, but different folding carton on the outside. So that's where people are getting into versioning. And then we're seeing actually a resurgence in books and being able to print books and book covers. Believe it or not, that actually is a growing market and it kind of turned around during the pandemic. And so that's really important. But those flyers and menus and greeting cards and all those other things, you know, menus is one of those things that's changed dramatically in the last year, right? Because of COVID. So so things like that is really important as well too, to think about how you're the different types of substrates that you can print on. So in a menu application, being able to print it on a plastic that you don't have to laminate and you can wipe down with alcohol and the ink doesn't come off. That's the kind of stuff that we can do with KM1 and Prolist can do. So so one of the things under the labels is you wouldn't think about, wow, can do I need to print labels? But labels, being able to produce labels on this press, but being able to do not just the version name, but also a version logo or a version something sort of graphic that's different on every label that you can apply to a mail piece is also really where that self-adhesive label comes in. And we're able to print labels with no problem on this press. Once again, very, very easy. So I would be remiss to not talk about COVID. Hopefully, this is kind of the 4 areas of COVID and print application needs. You all probably on this phone have experienced or some or all of this printing and the shift in printing and what you need to provide either to your clients or if you are a client, what you've had to buy. And so, you know, hopefully we're kind of in this recovery and new normal phase where things really shifted now away from maybe some signage and other things and floor graphics. Now maybe not quite as much. But what we're finding is the people that got used to printing floor graphics or laying down floor graphics are now putting advertisements on them. And so instead of it just being a generic, please stand here 6 feet away from the next person, it is, oh, hey, please, you know, print, please stand here, but here's our logo, right? Or here's a marketing message for you. So this new normal of stuff, all the COVID applications that came about last year, not all of them will go away. And in fact, a lot of them will stay around, things like menus and other things and that change. And we've seen a big uptick actually in direct mail applications because as people were staying home, they were getting more mail. And so being able to, it's actually a product of COVID, you know, people staying home. So we certainly are hopefully still into that phase of it, of the recovery phase, and we'll keep moving through that. All right, well, so here is a cutaway of the press, and I won't go into all the details of it, but it is an offset press chassis through and through. So if you looked at an offset press and you looked at the feeder system and where the sheets come out, it looks like an offset press because that's what it is. We've just taken our inkjet technology and bolted it onto the top of the offset press. So as the press comes in, everything's registered like an offset press. That sheet is registered. It actually goes into the press, uses grippers just like a press does. But our uniqueness is that we jet the ink directly onto the substrate. There is nothing else going on in the process. So we jet a true 1200 by 1200 DPI through our inkjet heads right onto the substrate. We print all 4 colors, and then we cure that ink instantly with LED UV. LED UV is great. There's really 2 or 3 things from why LED UV is great for you. One is that as I talked about before, the ink is completely cured, dry, rock solid on that sheet for you. So there isn't any other post-processing that you need to do with that sheet to make sure the ink stays on that sheet. But it's also very low temperature and low power consumption, which is good for the environment. And we actually use no VOCs in our ink. And so that's also a really good environmental story. So we can actually, we have the claim of no VOCs. The last thing is we just got this certification. The press release came out 2 days ago. And that is that we are de-inkable certified. What that means is we are able to take our press sheets, put them into the recycling process. The recycling process can remove our ink away from the sheet and create pulp that has no residual of our ink left in it. That is so important as the paper market tightens up more and more, and as people want to turn to more and more recycled stocks, knowing that if they use our press, we know that ink can be pulled away from those sheets, and that pulp can be used over and over again. So one last thing I'll just point out is, you may know Konica Minolta from cameras, right? So we have a rich history in cameras and sensing equipment. So we actually have an inline sensor in our press that is monitoring print quality in real time. So back to this consistency thing, right? Being able to print something consistent. Inline sensing system is measuring the print quality and correcting for any defects that it would find in a print automatically in real time on the press. And so that's why we can deliver page 1 that looks exactly like page 1000, that looks like exactly like page 10,000 through this press for you. So with that, I'll stop there, and we can certainly ask any questions.
Yes. Wow, Bret, that was a really great presentation and an amazing look into the world of digital printing. Lots of different creative ideas for different print products, and you're really focused on the versatility of the KM1. I know we're a couple minutes long, but I did have 2 questions that came in that I just wanted to run by you real quick. So the first one is about digital print options. I know here in your presentation you talked about, Konica Minolta and the KM1 and the quality that press offers. But the question is, because there's so many different options out there, what is the best way to really evaluate the quality that's coming out of a digital press? And should a prospective customer ask for a printed sample before committing to production on anything?
Yeah, so we talk about this a lot. So customers certainly maybe at first with our technology, what we find is that they will get printed proofs to start out. And then we'll realize as they get their printed job and they look at the consistency of that print throughout the job that we just ran for them, that they realize that they don't need a printed proof anymore. They trust the technology and the way the technology is. Other technologies are different, right? Because there's more moving parts in an offset press or a traditional toner type product that you may be used to buying, there can be slight variations in the print quality. With us, because we jet ink directly onto substrate, we eliminate a lot of that need for press proofs that you would get with other types of technology.
Okay, that makes sense. And I had one other question here. This one might be a little off target. The question was about the types of art files that are typically used for digital print. What are your thoughts on InDesign or high-res PDFs? Is one type of file better than the other? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we are a PDF print engine. Our RIP system is, but it's nice to have native files if possible, because that way we can structure the PDF to print the best through our device. A lot of people say, well, a PDF is a PDF, and it really, as a lot of you probably know, that's not really the case. PDFs are all built differently, and so if you supply us a PDF, we can certainly work with that. If you supply an InDesign file, that gives us the best ability then to take that file and create a good PDF out of it.
Okay, that makes sense. And I know we do a good bit of that here. All right, well, that wraps up our presentation. I see we got a couple comments thanking you, Bret, for the content, that it was really a great presentation. And I appreciate everyone joining us today. You will be getting an email with a link to the recording and the presentation in the next few days. So please keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much.